Okay guys, welcome back. Day number 2, Action Academy. So hopefully that your gimme homework from yesterday wasn't too bad, and hopefully you have a great list of things that you can help people with. Remember, you don't have to be that like biochemistry research god in order to help people. All you need to have is a personal story, client successes, something that you've overcome in an area of expertise. Of course, if you have credentials and things like that, it's even better. But hey, people need to know your story, and chances are you're going to be helping someone who is a previous version of you. So that's what today's episode is all about, and we are going to get into your story, and we're going to talk about starting to attract the right people who need your help. So if you think about your own personal story, maybe you had a story of transformation, maybe you've had a client who had a story of transformation. They came to you and they felt a certain way, or you yourself, maybe 5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, felt a certain way. And we're going to actually talk about how you kind of healed yourself, or you helped yourself, or you helped your client get on the other side. So we're going to actually paint a before and after picture today. So today is all about your story. The reason why this is important is because we're a personal brand. Remember from yesterday, faces in front, voices in front, messages in front. So people are connecting with you, not with your expertise, not with your credential, not with the certification that you have. People are going to be connecting with you. So today it is all about what we call attraction marketing. So attraction marketing is where we go ahead and we put out content on the internet, on social media, on blogs, on Facebook Lives, videos, podcasts, etc. And we start to attract the right customer based on the things that we are sharing. So tomorrow we're going to talk about your list from yesterday and the struggles and the solutions and how to share that. But today it is all about your personal story. Because if people don't know you, if they don't like you, if they don't trust you, that we know that they are not going to eventually become customers, and we want them to become customers. So today we're going to talk about your personal story. So you might say to yourself, well, Jill, I don't really have like a big story. I've always liked exercise, or I didn't ever lose like 100 pounds. Here's the thing. I totally get that, but still, at some point, you had some sort of struggle. So the struggle was maybe around body stuff, maybe it was around fitness stuff, maybe it was around nutrition stuff, maybe it was around relationship stuff, family stuff. You have a story that needs to be told. And when we're talking about attracting the right person, like I said earlier, chances are the person that you're going to be helping is a previous version of you. So when you talk about your before story, right, if you talk about how you used to go through life, if you talk about what you used to do, chances are the person who is attracted to that content is someone who is there right now, right? So you're going to probably be serving a previous version of you. So for example, I get a lot of people who are competitors, or maybe they're yo-yo dieters, and they come to me and they're like, Jill, everything that you talk about 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it's exactly where I am right now. I need help because of everything you said about how you used to feel. I feel like that right now. And so for us, we need to know, what is our story of transformation? Where were we before? Where are we now? And what happened in the middle? So I'm going to outline this really quick for you guys, and I'm going to give you your homework in a second. So there's 3 parts to this. The first is the before picture. The second is the after picture, and then the middle piece is called the bridge. I got that from Derek Halpern, or it's the aha moment. What is that moment? What was that tool? What was that insight that when you started doing something different, you got a result? And so the first thing we're gonna talk about is before picture. When I say picture, I don't mean actual picture. We don't have to do like side by sides. If you want to do that, you can, but really we're just talking about writing this out. Or if you like video, you can talk this out. So in order to make it really resonate for people, we need to attract them with your before story, talking it out. What was the thing about your story that, like, what were the emotions? What were the feelings? So we can't just say, oh, I had a history of yo-yo dieting. I did a bunch of shows, and then I just found moderation, and now here I am, right? It can't be like that. It's not juicy enough. It's not tractionable enough. Instead, what we have to do is we have to describe that before picture, not from the facts of what happened, but the emotions and the feelings of how we felt. So for example, if I'm telling the story of yo-yo dieting and how I used to be there, and now I'm eating moderately 365 days a year, I have to tell the story from the perspective of the feelings and the emotions. If I was doing a lot of depriving and then binging, I'd wake up on Monday morning and feel just so gross, like so bloated. I just remember being like, oh, I can't believe I did it again. I'm so weak. I just can't believe it. I just felt so ashamed. I was wearing men's large Hanes t-shirts around town because I was so embarrassed that people had seen me when I was, quote, in shape and I was on stage, and then literally just weeks later saw like just how much weight I had gained. I felt so like embarrassed and shameful about that. And I felt like people were judging me and criticizing me, right? So I just gave you guys a little bit of an insight into how I would paint that before picture. So it's not about what happened. Yes, I got off stage. Yes, I gained all this weight really quickly. Yes, I yo-yo dieted. Yes, I kind of messed up my hormones. Yes, all those facts. But the emotions, right? So the emotions I felt. And you might have to go back a little bit and rethink about it. Maybe we don't think about it quite as often. So we have to go back and do a little bit of introspection here. How did you feel? When you woke up in the morning, what was the first emotion that you felt? I know for me, I always, because I did a lot of nighttime eating, I'd wake up the next morning and go, oh my God, how much did I eat last night? Oh, I can't believe I ate all that. Right? And so that emotion needs to be communicated. You can do it via video. We'll talk more about this tomorrow. You can do via written content. You need to have that before story. So, but it's not about what happened. It is about the emotions and the feelings. Those are the things that people connect to. So when you tell your before story, you need to share what were the emotions that you felt throughout the day. And sometimes we don't think about that stuff. So like I said, you might have to go back and go, you know, what was that? I forget, like, was I angry? Was I pissed? Was I miserable? Was I feeling in fear all the time? What were the emotions that you were feeling? And tell the before story with those emotions and feelings, because this is where you connect to the feelings that the person is currently experiencing. When you share those emotions and feelings, that's what people connect to. And it's been said that if you can communicate how someone else is feeling, even better than they can, they automatically think that you have a solution. I'm gonna say it again. If you can communicate how someone else is feeling more articulately than they can, they automatically think that you have a solution. And of course, we do have a solution in the form of our coaching services or our content, and we're going to be sharing that stuff. So we have to make sure that we feel super comfortable. So you might be thinking to yourself, Jill, I've never talked about my story, or I don't really have a story, or I do have a story, but I'm so embarrassed to tell it, or I'm feeling vulnerable telling it. This is just like ripping off a Band-Aid. Welcome to the personal branding space. We need to know about you. And you don't have to, like, you know, go all the way to the craziest thing that never happened. Like for me, you guys know over the last few months, I've been sharing about my ex-husband's affair. And like, for me, if you had told me that 2 years ago, like, oh, you need to talk about this, I would have been like, there's no way. There is no way I'm talking about that. But over time, with these very small shares, right, smaller shares, I'm ready to talk about it. And I wasn't a year ago, I wasn't 2 years ago. And so you have to think about, and now I'm talking to a lot of women who are coming to me and going, I felt the same way, how do I work through this stuff? And I haven't really kind of fully taken that on yet, but that would be an example. And so you don't just like come out and share every little, you know, big, huge thing that happened. You can share a small thing. You know, share one single thing about how you felt in the moment. So this is really vulnerable, but that's what we really need to see from you in order for people to connect. People do not connect with facts and figures, they connect with emotions and feelings. So that's the before picture. Then something happened. What happened? For me, I remember it was at the end of doing a lot of photo shoots and a lot of magazine work, and I remember just dieting so hard for like 6 months, 9 months, and I didn't have any other photo shoots on the books. I had no more shows. And I remember just being like, I am so miserable. I just can't stand this food. I'm so disgusted by all this diet food. I literally threw my hands up and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I literally don't care if I gain 50 pounds. I have to figure this out. I have to figure out a way to eat forever so I'm not doing this constant up and down and losing the same 20 pounds multiple times a year. I have to figure this out. It was that aha moment of like, I'm not willing to do this anymore. The thing that I'm the most scared of, which is gaining all that weight, I don't care. I'll take it because I can't keep doing this. And there were several different stories along those lines. I stopped prepping my food. I, you know, kind of a lot of different kind of small things that I was just like, okay, I'm gonna give myself this little preemptive cheat. And I had to reverse engineer a lot of that because I didn't really remember it. So I had to look back and go, what was the moment that I just was like, you know what, I can't possibly do this anymore. Something needs to change. And at that point, I started doing what? Something happened and I started doing this thing differently. So in the past, I would deprive, then binge, And this new way of doing things was I'm gonna have these little like preemptive cheats, and I'm gonna start to give myself these little nutritional gimmies or nutritional relief in my week, so that when I get to the weekend or I get to nighttime, I don't binge as much. And so the aha moment, what happened? Maybe you saw a picture of yourself in a bikini. Maybe someone said something to you. You know, so we have to look back and think about what was the thing that happened when I was just like, fine, I will just do something different. What was that aha moment? What was that thing that you started doing differently? Because that's the solution, right? And then you paint the after picture for the person. The after picture, now, how do you feel? So I would explain things like, you know, now I wake up and I don't stress about food. I don't worry about it. I don't prep all this food all the time. I don't make myself eat things that I don't enjoy. I eat the same on Saturday that I do on Monday. I don't stress about holidays. I trust myself around food. Going to any event or going to other people's homes, I don't feel a lot of anxiety around that, because I learned through Moderation 365 to trust myself. And so before picture, emotions. Then there's that bridge, like Derek and Halpern says, or that aha moment, or that insight of like, I just have to change. What is that moment? And then what did you start doing differently? So what did you start doing differently? For me, I gave myself some preemptive cheats. I gave myself some nutritional relief. I didn't have to be perfect all the time. And then the after is, now I don't think about food that much. Now I never stress over it. I don't worry about it. So you have to paint that after picture for the person. Now, how are you living? Now, what are you doing? Now, how are you feeling? So before picture, emotions and feelings. Aha moment, what happened? What did you start doing differently? And the after picture is, here's what I'm doing now. Here's what my life is like now. So again, these can be before and after photos where you show the transformation, or you can just talk it out. You can talk it out on a Facebook Live, you can write it out somehow, but I need for people to know who you are, and they need to know your success and your trajectory. And so this week's homework is all about your story. Super pumped about this. So you're gonna, what I just took you through, before picture, after picture, aha moment, what happened, what was the thing that changed you? You have to go back and look at it and ask yourself, okay, what were the emotions and feelings I was having? And so I know this can be a little scary, because some of you guys might be thinking, well, you know, I do have a story. It's not like a huge story, or it's not like a really big story. That's fine. Start with a really small story. It doesn't need to be something totally crazy. It doesn't need to be I lost 100 pounds, or, you know, this happened to me, or I went into full-blown adrenal fatigue. Doesn't have to be any of that. It can be a really small thing. Did you start taking CrossFit classes? Did you have kids and that changed your life? Did you realize you need to put yourself first and start spending more time on self-care? Like, what was the thing that, and now how are you living, right? So describe to me that after picture. And so because this might be a little scary, I'm gonna give you 2 quick hacks for how you can share this with your audience. When I say audience, I literally mean on Instagram, your followers on Instagram, on your personal Facebook page, how you share it. So 2 ways you can do it. Number 1, you can say that this is a little vulnerable to share. So sometimes when I'm scared about sharing something, I will actually preface it by saying something like, you know, I wanted to share something, but I'm feeling a little bit vulnerable. So just want you guys to know that. But I do feel like it's a service, because I know a lot of other people have struggled with this as well. So I want to share with you guys just something I've never shared before. So when you tell people ahead of time that you're feeling vulnerable, when you tell them ahead of time that it's making you feel a little bit vulnerable, they're probably going to be a little bit better at being on your team and giving you that positive affirmation of like, okay, because we know this, people love the story. They want to see the behind the scenes. They want you to pull back the curtain. And when you do, and especially if you tell them you're scared about it, they're gonna show up for you. So number 1 is just telling them that it makes you feel vulnerable. The second thing you can do is super simple. You can actually just preface it by saying, I don't know if you know this about me, but I don't know if I've ever said this out loud, or I don't know that you might not know this about me, but I don't know that you know that I have a history with yo-yo dieting, or I don't know that you maybe you don't know that I just got into fitness in my 40s and 50s, right? So you can say that ahead of time as a preface of like, okay, this is gonna be a thing that I'm going to continue to share like this, because we know as a personal brand, we do need to share with people our story, lots of little different stories. This does not need to be your life story. This does not have to be like your huge bio on your website. It just needs to be, I don't know if you know this, but I have a history with, you know, binge eating disorder, and I've never talked about this before, so I'm feeling a little vulnerable, but I want to share with you guys kind of what I was going through and what happened to switch things for me and how I did a 180. And then you have that positive kind of uplifting turn. Here's the last piece. At the end of you sharing your story, I want you to say, if this resonates with you guys, I would love to hear. Can you please send me a direct message and let me know? If this resonates with you, I'd love to hear more. I'd love to hear more about your story. Send me a quick DM. So you're basically going to be starting a conversation in a direct messenger, and you're going to start having these conversations. And don't stress about like giving away free coaching and stuff like that. Just be human and have a conversation with the person. They want to be heard just like you want to be heard, and this person could potentially turn into a customer or you know, a client later on. And so I want you to start having those conversations. Whenever you share something so deep, a lot of times we won't get a huge amount of like likes and shares and comments because it's a little bit scary for people to interact with that post. But that's when you start getting direct messages, text messages, emails, and if you're starting to get that stuff, that means that you're making waves and people want more of that. So we're gonna be vulnerable, we're gonna share our story, and then we're gonna ask for a call to action. Send me a quick DM if this resonates with you. I'd love to hear from you guys. That's it. Be human, have a conversation in the DM, just literally have a conversation. Don't worry about I have to sell them or anything like that. Just be human, just empathize, be there for them. And if they happen to ask you, oh, you know, this is interesting, I didn't know that you talked about this, I'm actually looking for, you know, someone who can help me with this, then at that point you can say, well, you do know that I'm a coach, or, you know, I do have this option. I actually work with people at a distance over the internet on these kinds of things. Let's set up a call. So you can always take it one step further, but let's not stress about that right now. Let's just put a call to action that if they resonate with this, or, you know, if this is something that they want to talk more about, if they have experience with, you want to hear from them in a direct message. So that's your homework for today. We're going to get back on it tomorrow in content creation, but you have to tell your story because people don't know. When in doubt, more details, more feelings, more emotions, more details. Those are the things. It's been said that the more specific the story, the more universal. If I start talking about my dad, you guys start thinking about your dad. And that's really what we want to do. So you want to get super specific on those examples that you're using. Go to the emotions. What were you feeling? What happened? What small things were going on? And those are things that really people are going to connect very strongly to. So this is all about attraction marketing. I want to see your story. Make sure you guys tag me on it at Jill Fit if you put it on Instagram, you put it on Facebook, hopefully both of those places. When you do, make sure you tag me so that I can go and give you some love as well. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow.